1% of dudes rapping, they ain't nice as me. 98% ain't live the same type of life as me. The judge gave me life and then they sent me where the life is be. That level 4 with depth and vice, the type of stuff they like to see. Two choices, fight or flee. I refuse to die a chump. I never been a mark, but damn, it's scary when that riot jump. I seen dudes cry, get pumped, and some sexually brutalized. Knew a dude who lost his life and he was only doing 5 year-long racial fights when homie all you do is ride. Lonely days and nights up in a hole causing suicide. From the moment you arrive, you see the Mexican mafia, AB skinheads with big giant swastikas, pro-black philosophers, the BGF, the Kumi, and Muslims who will murk you from the nation to the Sunni. That MS was loony, quick to ride up on they rival. Even Christians went to church, hide knives up in they Bible. Political and tribal, the Crips and Damus, the Long Beach, the Hubs and the Dubs and the Grooves, the IE, the Bakersfield, the Dago Pyrus, the Hustlers quick to roll, the gangsters don't move, whatever click you choose.
Say what's cracking, YouTube? It's your boy 16 to life, and I'm back like I'm on a parole violation. Yard down! Now, for those of y'all that's new to my page, in 1994, I got arrested. I was eventually sentenced to 16 years plus life, and I served 24 years straight in the California prison system. During those times, I accumulated some good stories. I'm going to share one with y'all today. If you like the story, be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Most importantly, check your boy out on my YouTube playlist. Yeah, that's me flowing. The flow is nothing like Curtis Blow. Let's hop right up into this story. Now, about a year or so ago, I had told a story about a riot that happened because of a white Crip. Well, after talking to a friend of mine who was down there when I did an interview with him, he has a channel by the name of West Coast Headbangers. Y'all be sure to check that out. He told me why the riot really happened. And all this time, I hadn't known. So for those of y'all who may have heard me tell a portion of this story before, bear with me. I got to tell it again for those who didn't hear it, and also to make you guys realize what happened. So the story takes place early 2003 in Ironwood. Ironwood is a prison in Blythe, California. Blythe, for those who may not know, is heading towards Arizona, and it gets extremely hot down there. On this particular day, a dude by the name of Halfhead from Long Beach Insane was given a rap contest. He had posted flyers letting everybody know that this rap contest was going to happen after the 215 unlock for about a month. The flyers had been up for a while. So I got at my homeboy Nutso from Gateway. I wanted to use his radio. He had a CD player hooked up to a radio known as a Super 2. And I wanted to use that during the rap contest to play my instrumentals and so I could rap to some music. So he told me, yeah, man, just come get it at the 215 unlock. So the unlock is every hour on the hour, like at 10:15, 8:15, 9:15, 10:15, so on and so forth. They'll do what they call inline. So if you're outside, you on the yard, you can go in, hop in the shower, go in your cell, grab something to eat, go watch TV or whatever. Maybe grab something, come back out to the yard. So he told me to come in to meet him on the inline. Now he was in one building. So when 215 came, I went down to one building. I asked somebody that was in there that was going in. I said, hey, homie, can you get at my homie Nutso and tell him that I'm out here to bring me the radio? He said, okay, for sure. So now while I'm sitting around waiting, somebody come up, a black dude. He say, hey, man, y'all be careful if you go down there by that bathroom. The white dudes is huddled up and they got something going on. So outside on the yard, on a section of the yard, they have a couple of urinals and they have 1 or 2 shower heads. Because like I said, it gets extremely hot out there. So if a person wants to wash off, take a shower outside or whatever, he can do that. So when I turned around and glanced down on that section of the track, it had to be about 30 or 40 white dudes out there. Some regular dudes that's known as peckerwoods is what they call themselves. Some skinheads, you know, you had just a lot of white people down there gathered. Now, as I'm sitting there waiting, another brother walked by. He said, hey, man, you know, they just brought a white Crip on the yard. And I said, oh, okay. So now I'm thinking that's probably why all those dudes are huddled up down there. Anytime a white Crip hits the yard, he's housed, he programs with, he hangs with the blacks, and he's in the cell with a black. The whites see that as a race traitor, and they definitely don't agree with that. And around that time, especially, they wasn't they wasn't going to allow that to happen on their watch, you know. And so that's what we thinking is going on, right? So the homie bring out the radio to me, and now all these other buildings, because there's 5 buildings on the yard. It's 1 through 5. 5 building was the whole. All the other buildings had people in them, of course, and there are 200 people per building, so that's 800 people on the yard. Also, they had a gym that they had converted into a living space, and I believe they had triple bunk beds in there with a lot of convicts in there as well. So now many of them, or at least the black population, is starting to come out for this rap contest. Now, of course, administration, knowing that when a white Crips hit the yard, it's normally problematic. They see the white dudes gathered up down there. They see all the black dudes coming out for the rap contest, going to the bleachers where the rap contest was supposed to happen. So in about 2 or 3 minutes, they get on the loudspeaker and announce yard recall, yard recall. They telling everybody to return back to their buildings. So everybody, stand around for a little bit and see what's going on. Now word is spreading among the blacks that, hey man, it's a white Crip on the yard. They just bought a white Crip on the yard. Now the white Crip happened to be from a gang called 1200 Block East Coast. That's in the city of Riverside. Actually, I believe he was from Georgia Street Mob, which is like a younger generation of the 1200 Block East Coast. But basically it's all the same thing, and especially in prison, right? And so now the word is being circulated among the blacks that, hey man, it's a white Crip on the yard. The white boys is over there grouped up. Y'all be on alert or whatever. So like I said, they had announced yard recall. So everybody returned back to their buildings. Now around 5 o'clock, 5:36, whatever time it was, they start releasing the buildings to go to chow. Now, like I said, by this time, word has circulated, and all the other East Coast, because the East Coast Crips is a neighborhood with a bunch of different individual streets that claim East Coast. So it's a bunch of them. If I'm not mistaken, bear with me if I get some of these wrong, but I know it's the 6-pack, it's 7-6 East Coast, 9-7 East Coast, I believe, 190 East Coast, 11-8 East Coast. It's a whole bunch of them, right? And so by now, all the East Coast gang members have pretty much been alerted that it's a white Crip on the yard from their hood. So now when they release them to go to chow, maybe about 4 or 5 of the Crips from East Coast have formed what's known as Usalama, which is security in Swahili, which is basically they have a perimeter around the white Crip. And they all go to chow. They release they may call building 5, then let building 4, so on and so forth. And so by the time my building go to chow, I see them in there. They got the usalama on him. They eating. When they finish eating, they leave and they start heading back towards towards their building. So now after I finish eating, I don't go back the way that I came. I take the long route so I can go past, 1 building, 2 building, and try to see, get a better idea of what's going on and this and that. So now when I happen to pass 2 building, there's a white dude by the name of Psych or Psycho. I believe it was Psycho. But anyway, he was about 6'1", maybe about 200 pounds, 210. It was said that he done mixed martial arts. He used to work out all the time, real good shape. And I believe he was either the leader of the white dudes on that yard, or he was extremely influential. I believe he was more than likely their shot caller, and he was some type of Nazi skinhead, something like that, right? And so anyway, he's talking to a brother by the name of Stutterbox. Stutterbox was from 190, and Stutterbox was older, maybe in his mid 40s, somewhere around there. Stutterbox also had a brother on the yard by the name of JR, and they damn near looked like twins, but JR didn't gangbang. So anyway, Psych and Stutterbox is over there having a conversation, I presume, about this white Crip that's just hit the yard. So I kind of slow down a little bit. You have a few other black dudes who kind of stop, and so eventually the guard in the tower noticed everybody huddled up in front of the 2 building. He tell everybody, hey man, go back, go back to chow is over, go back to your buildings. So we go back to the building. Now, while we going back to the building or sometime around there, I don't remember exactly when, but administration came. They got the white Crip, told him to cuff up, handcuffed him, and they took him to the hole. Now, you guys remember if you saw my earlier story called Arrival of a White Crip Causes Big Problems, where I said this right here.
So, like I say, to this day, I really don't even know why the riot kicked off, because once they came and got him, normally in most situations, that alleviates the problem. But maybe during the negotiations that they had, maybe some words were said or whatever. I mean, I really don't know.
So basically, anytime a white Crip hits the yard, or a Hispanic Crip hits the yard for that matter, Hispanic blood, white blood or whatever, once the administration, if the administration does happen to come get him and remove him from that yard, the problem is normally over, because the whites weren't upset that he was a white Crip. Pretty much, they was upset that he was on the yard. So once he was gone, the problem was gone, right? And so, like I said, they end up taking him to the hole. So more around maybe 7 o'clock that night, a little later, whatever time it was, they released everybody for night program. We can go outside till about, I think, 8:30, 9 o'clock or whatever. So now you still have a whole lot of people coming outside. I don't know if, if word got around to the majority of black population that the white Crip was no longer on the yard, but for whatever reason, you still had a lot of blacks come out to support the situation, right? So when we come out, we hit the and then maybe some of them may have came out to still see if the rap contest was going to go or whatever. So anyway, we come out, we get on the bleachers by the basketball court, black side of the basketball court. The white convicts are over there huddled up where they originally was by the showers. So everybody come out, they over there for maybe 5 or 10 minutes. All of a sudden they just start screaming, racial slurs and this and that, and they take off and rush the blacks. They probably about, I would like to say maybe about 75 feet away. They start throwing rocks, rushing, they initiate and kick the riot off. So everybody get cracking in that mug. Beep, boop, bop, beep, boop, beep, beep, boom, boom. It's out there. It's going down and stuff. Okay. So, everybody go back to their building or the police come over there. They, yard down. They lay everybody down. They run over there. Once they finally get it together, those who didn't have visible wounds and injuries got sent back to their building. And so I'm one of the ones who made it back to my building. But like I said, that whole time I have been wondering, damn, why the hell did that riot take off? Why the hell did that riot happen? So, of course, we go on lockdown. They lock us down, Maybe about 2 or 3 days later, they called me and told me to move. They was moving me now from the 3 building to the 2 building. I was A1A unassigned, which basically means A1A is a certain privilege status that you get when you're working or you're going to school. It just means you can make phone calls. You can spend the maximum amount at the canteen, stuff like that. I was A1A unassigned. I didn't have a job at that time. I believe I probably, like I told y'all, I always tried to work as least as possible in prison. So I probably finagled my way, told them I was hurt or something or whatever. I had a soft shoe chrono because I got flat feet. So for whatever reason, I wasn't working at that particular time. So they moved me because what they wanted to do is they wanted to have all the workers they labeled as critical workers, meaning that your job was essential into running the prison. They wanted to move them in one building. So while the yard was on lockdown, they wouldn't have to be releasing this stuff from all different buildings. It would be easier on them. So they happened to move me to the 2 building and move me in the cell of JR. JR, like I told y'all, was the brother of the Crip from 190. So I'm in there discussing, the riot and wondering why it's happened and this and that. So he didn't know. So maybe another 2 or 3 days later, they called me again and moved me and a couple of my homies to C Yard, which was fine with me because A Yard was locked down for that riot and wouldn't know telling how long they was going to be on lockdown. And so I stayed on A Yard I stayed on C Yard maybe about 5 or 6 months. I got caught up in another riot with the Bloods. I went to the hole. I stayed in the hole 3 or 4 months. Then I went to B Yard. I stayed on B Yard a few months. And then my homies had me move back to A-Yard. So by the time I get back to A-Yard, it's like a year and a half done passed, and people are no longer talking about that riot or whatever. You know, it just a lot of stuff been transpired since then. Ain't nobody tripping on that. It's over with. They eventually came off lockdown or whatever. So all this time I had been wondering, why the hell did that riot happen? Because the white Crip was gone. Well, I happened to bump into one of my homeboys who was on that yard with us at that time. He has a page by the name of West Coast Headbanger. His name is Fuzzy. He go by Greedy. When you get a chance, check that page out. I'm going to also leave the link to where I interviewed him. So anyway, you know, when you run across, and that was the first time that I had seen him. When you run across a person you ain't seen, you done a lot of time with, he was from IE as well. We laughing, joking, you know, chopping it up. And we start talking about stuff that was happening. And so I was asking him, damn, man, I wonder why the hell that riot, remember that riot we got into? He started laughing. It was extremely funny to him. He said, hey, man, you know why that riot happened? And he told me this second part of what I'm going to tell you guys now.
At the house with family, eating, smoking, and playing games.
I smoked a couple ops, left him in the box. The only man that ever hit me with his hand, it was my pops. Any other dummy try, he bout to die, my nigga watch. In a hurry, cause I'm Conrad Murray, giving deadly shots, overdosing till they drop. And I ain't talking propofol, it's 50 in this rifle clip, that's 25 for both of y'all. I played the game so well, I'm qualified for coaching, y'all. Got arrested, nigga faced the L and never spoke at all. Got 16 to life in that cell, I never choked at all. I did 24 years before they opened up the wall. Don't ask me about no soap at all, cause nigga, that's some gay shit. And like dog shit in the street, I'm nothing to play with. The business what I stay with like a stockbroker. I ain't got famous by talking, nigga, I'm not Oprah. I used to ride so much, they called me the black chauffeur, leaving big holes and shit like that Caddyshack gopher.
Is it ratchet when they say they ratchet? They really ain't with the shit that I be making, they just don't know how to say it.